Your time is 2 p.m. You're now watching another weekly production of Market View ERS Text Talk right here on Eswatini TV. I am Nathalisa Tole, glad to have you on the program. This afternoon, we are continuing a conversation with the Eswatini Revenue Service on the Tax Compliance Certificate Regulations of 2022. Tax compliance remains a critical pillar in supporting service delivery and economic growth. Today, in our sit down with the ERS, we'll get to unpack some of the key transactions listed under the TCC regulations. Our focus will be on the requirement for a tax compliance certificate when tendering for goods or services exceeding 20,000 emalangeni and why it is important for every taxpayer to ensure that their tax affairs are very much in good standing. But first, our business stories. In our business stories, we begin with this. Taiwan has supported the National Handcraft Training Center with 7.5 million emalangeni for industrial sewing machines. This was revealed during the graduation of 130 craft students from the training center at Codec. The Minister for Commerce, Industry and Trade, Honorable Mangoba Khumalo, has urged graduates not only to seek employment but also to venture into entrepreneurship. The minister was represented by the Minister for Public Works and Transport, Chief Ndlahlaza Ndwandwe.
Today is not just the end of your training, it is the beginning of a new chapter. Along the way, you faced challenges, moments of doubt, and demanding assignments, but you persevered. As you celebrate this achievement, remember to thank your families for their support and your instructors for their guidance. Be proud of yourselves as you have earned this success and the future is in your hands. The Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade deeply appreciates the strong partnership we continue to enjoy with Taiwan ICDF. We are grateful that 7.5 million emalangeni has been donated for industrial sewing machines for the National Handcraft Training Center, with part of the funds already committed.
The representative of the Taiwan ambassador, Jeremy Liang, has pledged more support to the National Handicraft Training Center in addition to the 7.5 million emalangeni already provided.
This contribution is intended to strengthen the center's training capacity and to ensure that the students receive high-quality hand-on instruction aligned with contemporary industry standards. We firmly believe that access to appropriate tools and modern technology is fundamental to effective skills development.
Umngani wemakhosi Sifiso Khumalo has urged companies to absorb the graduates into their workforce.
Labo namabhizinisi abethe Codec babute ma-students ukhona thishela nhloko la.
The principal of the National Handicraft Training Center says this year 137 students have been admitted, reflecting that the youth of Eswatini recognize the importance of acquiring skills. Mbendulo Dlamini, who spoke on behalf of the students, encouraged graduates to continue striving and open businesses that will create employment opportunities. Reporting, Nelson Dlangamandla, Vuminkosi Nzinisa, Ezulwini.
The local equity market capitalization increased by 0.35% to 6.932 billion emalangeni at the end of last month from 6.908 billion emalangeni at the end of January this year. This is contained in the February month-end report from the Eswatini Stock Exchange. So what contributed to this increase and what does it mean for the markets as well as the economy? We are now joined by Maibongwe Mazibuo, Monitoring and Surveillance Officer at the Eswatini Stock Exchange, to answer some of these questions for us. Maibongwe, good afternoon. Thank you very much for your time. Let's get to it, shall we? What was the Eswatini Stock Exchange's market capitalization last month, and what were some of the factors, the main factors behind the recent increase?
Thanks for having me, Notsile, and good afternoon to the viewers at home. in that the Eswatini Stock Exchange plays an important role in the country, more especially in the financial system, by providing a platform where companies and government can raise capital and where investors can participate in the growth of the economy through the investing in listed securities. The market capitalization as of the end of February 2026, the Eswatini Stock Exchange total market capitalization stood, as I have said, stood at approximately 6.93 billion, reflecting an, I would say, a slight increase of 0.35% from around 6.91 billion reported in January. Note that the increase was mainly driven by a price appreciation in one of the listed securities, which is SBC Limited, whose share price rose by up to 2.5% during the month. The upward movement contributed to the overall increase in the total market value of listed companies. And in overall, the growth reflects a stable performance among listed companies and continued investor interest in the market. Yeah.
Maibonge, what trends have we seen in the all share index recently, and what factors would you say have contributed to its rise?
The all share, first of all, I need to define the all share index or explain to the viewers at home what's the all share index. The all share index is the main indicator that measures the overall performance of the Eswatini Stock Exchange. In simple terms, it shows whether the price of shares listed on the exchange are generally going up or going down over time. So the ESC All Share Index has shown steady improvement recently, and current is around 4.9316 points. This upward movement has largely been driven by the share price appreciation, as viewers said, in SBC Limited. When the index rises, it generates signals that the value of listed companies is increasing, which benefits investors in terms of capital gains and strengthens the attractiveness of the local capital market.
And for the bond market, Maibonge, how is the corporate and government bond market currently performing? What role do you think it's actually playing in terms of financing the country's economy?
The bond market on the Eswatini Stock Exchange continues to play a crucial role in financing the economy. Government bonds, in particular, remain an important instrument through which the government raises long-term capital to finance infrastructure, development projects, and public services. On the other hand, the corporate bonds also provide companies with the alternative source of funding outside the traditional banking system, allowing businesses to access long-term capital from investors. For investors, bonds offer stable and predictable returns, making them attractive. Overall, the bond market supports capital formation, financial market development, and economic growth in the country.
Maibonge, from the Eswatini Stock Exchange perspective, this will be my last one. What do current stock market trends suggest about investor confidence and the outlook for Eswatini's economy and capital markets?
I would say the current trends in the stock market suggest moderate but stable investor confidence in the Eswatini capital markets. The gradual growth in market capitalization and the stability of the all share index indicates that investors continue to see long-term value in the companies listed on the exchange. In addition, the listing of new instruments and continued activity in the bond market show that the exchange remains an important platform for capital raising and investment opportunities. Looking ahead, the outlook for the Eswatini capital markets remain positive as efforts continue to broaden the range of financial instruments and attract new listings. These developments will further strengthen the role of the capital market in supporting sustainable economic growth and wealth creation for Eswatini. So as I end, I think it will be good for me to state that The stock exchange is not just about trading shares or about providing a platform where the government or companies can raise money. It is also about supporting businesses, creating investment opportunities, and contributing to the, I would say, the overall development of Eswatini economy.
Fair enough, Maibonge. Thank you very much for your time. We'll leave it here. That was Maibonge Mazibugo, Monitoring and Surveillance Officer of the Eswatini Stock Exchange. We were discussing the local equity market capitalization, which has increased by 0.35% in February, as reported by the Eswatini Stock Exchange. After the break, we speak to the ERS. Stay with us.
Those that are in pain must forget all the problems they have. Because the things of the earth have got no answer that we have. It's all morning. When I'm preaching here, I'm preaching to myself. I receive the Holy Spirit.
I declare a turnaround is coming my way.
Turnaround is coming in my life.
Welcome back. Last week, the ERS was here educating you on the Tax Compliance Certificate Regulations of 2022, and the conversation was more on one of the requirements, which is transfer of funds to an offshore account. Picking up from that, today we will be continuing with the transactions listed in the regulations, unpacking more on TCC requirements when tendering for goods and services above 20,000 in Malangeni. We are joined by Ndobego Manana, Director Communications and Marketing at ERS, and Cebo Lenkosi Mahlalela, ERS Manager, Taxpayer Education and Information. Ladies, good afternoon. Good to have you both in studio.
Afternoon, Notsile.
I'll start with you, Cebo Lenkosi, building on last week's conversation. Care to elaborate on the transaction that says suppliers providing goods or services above 20,000 in Malangeni must have a TCC?
Thank you, Notsile. Good afternoon to you. Good afternoon to our viewers as well. So, yes, Notsile, the Eswatini Revenue Service is actually urging all citizens of the beautiful kingdom of Eswatini to take tax compliance as everyone's responsibility. Tax compliance, in actual fact, is a national responsibility. Notsile, you recall that it helps in terms of building the nation's or the country's economy in terms of developing. So, yes, last week we were here, and I'm happy that you are back today also to keep on unpacking in terms of the TCC regulations of 2022. One of the transactions mentioned there out of the 13 is the one that we've already said, where we are saying we require a TCC when there's tendering of goods and services exceeding 20,000 in Malangeni. This regulation, or rather this requirement, really states that any individual, could be a business or an organization or any entity, providing goods or services worth more than 20,000 must be fully tax compliant. This speaks to an individual or a person who's expected to be tax compliant and provide a TCC. You're not just tax compliant, you're also proving that you are tax compliant by providing the TCC. Say maybe you are tendering with government, could be a parastatal body, could be with a company, it could be with any other entity. We are encouraging that before you tender, whether maybe they're taking you into their database of suppliers, or you are now in the journey of selling and buying the goods, ensure that this happens between compliant clients or compliant taxpayers, and that can be proven by the TCC existence.
Ndobego, my next one is for you. Please tell us more on who exactly must comply with this regulation. Is it only big suppliers or also SME enterprises as well?
Definitely, Notsile, thank you so much. I think what's important to note here is we are encouraging our clients to say before you supply any goods or services exceeding the amount of 20,000, you must ensure that you are tax compliant. So this could be any type of supplier, whether they are big or small, they are expected to comply to this. And this could include a variety of business types. Could be contractors, she had highlighted individuals, you could be a consultant, service providers, goods suppliers, landlords, and even NGOs that may be paying for a service. We're also asking to the business community, ensure that you are working with compliant suppliers. You should be requesting for the tax compliance certificate if you are receiving a service or receiving goods above that value.
Ngozi, can you highlight what is a TCC and who gets to qualify for it?
Thank you, Notile, for the question. A tax compliance certificate, as you have mentioned, can also be referred to as a TCC. This is an official document of the Eswatini Revenue Service, and it is issued to a compliant taxpayer, which means, or rather, whose tax affairs are in order in terms of our system and in accordance with all relevant pieces of legislation that govern the TCC regulation in the land. So yes, a TCC is almost like an award to say you are tax compliant, and then you can use it to prove your compliance, or rather that you are tax compliant even as you are entering into business.
You say it is expected of a compliant taxpayer. Expand a bit on that. What does it mean to be to be taxpayer, to be tax compliant actually? Okay.
To be tax compliant, or rather a tax compliance status is confirming that a person or a business is in good standing with the system and with the ERS, as I've already alluded. This could mean not only that you filed all your tax returns, they are in order, there are no outstanding returns. This could also mean that you've paid all your outstanding debts, meaning this could be your assessments, your penalties, your interest. You have no outstanding debts. I also want to highlight, Notile, that yes, you might have filed and you might have maybe accumulated a huge tax debt. We also consider you as tax compliant if you have entered into what we refer to as a payment arrangement or a payment agreement with the ERS, and you're not defaulting, you are honoring your payment arrangement. We have also termed this invite to our clients as Sonzela's Khulume, meaning come, let's have a conversation around your tax profile so we can see how we can assist you. In as much as you have now accumulated a huge tax debt, how can you be able to, how can we assist you in terms of you paying in installments? And once you honor that, Notile, I want to highlight that you are now a compliant client. You qualify to be issued with a TCC, so you can go and also have business. One might also be asking themselves, what if I'm not tax compliant? Does it mean I should now close business? That's not the case. Please do reach out to the ERS. Our hands are open. We wish to hear from you. We wish to get to understand your tax profile so we can offer the Sonzela's Khulume and assist you on how you can pay installments and be granted a TCC so you can also be able to continue in business.
I'm appreciating the services open door policy through the Sonzela's Khulume campaign. But one just wants to ask, what about the businesses that are failing to at least provide a TCC? Could there be any consequences or just repercussions on that?
Oh, yeah. Unfortunately, yes, there are some repercussions if you are not compliant and you are not in alignment with the regulation. But as I've already said, Sonzela's Khulume, it's not as bad as you think. Sonzela's Khulume, so we can assist you on how to walk the journey. Being tax compliant actually is a journey. It's not a one-day thing. It's a journey. There's requirements, there's obligations. We want to handhold you and assist you on how to ensure that you're tax compliant. I wish to highlight the issue of payment arrangement. It's not like we expect you to make a huge lump sum payment. We accept payment arrangement, and we just expect also and appreciate that you honor your arrangement in paying installments. So yes, you are welcome at any point.
Disonzated to the ERS, it's really not as bad as you think. Dobego, my next one is for you. Where can clients obtain or access a TCC?
Notsile, so we've automated the process of accessing a TCC. In the past, clients would need to visit our service centers, visit us at the ARS to get a TCC from us. But now we have ensured that that is a self-service and it created a self-service platform for that. So our clients can access a TCC either on our website by visiting www.ers.org.za, scroll through our homepage and look for the tab that says Quick TCC. They click onto that, they're going to be taken to prompts where they have to fill in a bit of information, their name, their TIN if they're in a business, their PIN if they're an individual, and their email address. They sign off a privacy form, and moving forward, they are then going to receive the TCC emailed directly to them. Okay. This is if they are compliant. This can happen within minutes, and the system's able to just quickly pick that up. But if you are not compliant, I think Cebo has already alluded to the fact that if you receive the feedback that you are not compliant, we are imploring you as ERS to come to the ERS so we can work out arrangements that Cebo had already alluded to. We've seen quite a number of businesses visit us over the past few weeks to be able to access that very service. So I think that's the key message. Accessibility is simple and instant if you are compliant. If you are not, come to the ERS, let's have a conversation, let's figure out how we can assist you. Something that the CG has been highlighting, the Commissioner General has been highlighting, is that at ERS we're not in the business of denying TCCs, but we are saying if you're not compliant, come through to our offices and find ways to be able to assist, and you will be given the TCC. So that's one way of accessing it. We also have availability on our ERS TaxPal app. Clients can also access their TCC there by following the similar process. Look for the tab that says TCC, complete the details that are required, and immediately your TCC will be sent through to you.
I think we should have Tisonzete as a hashtag in bold. Your parting shot, what are your final words today to businesses that are kind of concerned or a bit skeptical about TCC, because it's been quite topical of late?
Thank you very much, Notsile, for having us today. My parting shots to our clients will be to encourage everyone to always keep a compliant status. You do this by checking yourself now and then. Check yourself regularly, as Nobego has already highlighted to us how easy it is actually to access the tax compliance certificate. So the system will also tell you and also deny you if you're not compliant. And at that point, it triggers the conversation that we've already talked about. Do approach the ERS so you can be assisted and we can handhold you on how to go about in terms of payment arrangements. Our objective, Notsile, as I'm parting, is not disruption, but it's integrity and fairness. We wish to give everyone a golden chance in the economy to be, or rather to play a very important role, and it's that of being tax compliant. Thank you very much.
Anything you'd like to add on why TCCs matter?
I think just to add to Cebo's point, our primary intention is not to make compliance difficult. We've also been doing quite a number of engagements with some of the key stakeholders, highlighting and speaking to these TCC regulations. We just also want to thank those key stakeholders for those contributions and the partnerships that we have there. But the main message is to ensure you are compliant. The accessibility for checking that is there, it is available. And if you do find that you are not compliant, do come to the ERS. Our offices are available. Our teams are here to support. We are ensuring that businesses are accessing their TCCs after having done our consultations and agreeing on a way forward for those that are not compliant.
Fair enough. Ladies, thank you both for your time. Key thing is compliance doesn't have to be difficult. Also, word of the day, Tisonzete to the ERS. That was Ndebego Manana, ERS Director, Marketing and Communications, and Cebolenkosi Matla, ERS Taxpayer Education and Information. We were discussing the Tax Compliance Certificate, TCC. The show continues after this.
that are in pain must forget all the problems they have. Because the things of the earth have got no answer. But the answer that we have is all morning. When I'm preaching here, I'm preaching to myself. I receive the Holy Spirit.
I declare that a turnaround is coming my way.
Turnaround is coming in my life.
Welcome back for our market analysis segment. In-house economist Anela Sibia is already on standby. Mr. Sibia, good afternoon. Thank you very much for your time. With just under 5 minutes to go, all markets remain sensitive to developments in the Middle East. I'll let you have the floor. Fire away.
Thank you, Notsile. Good afternoon to you and also to the viewer. As you've rightly put it, you've hit the nail on the head right there. So what we're looking at is that subdued activity across the globe as we continue to see escalations in the Middle East. More so, we've seen, 3 ships, 3 cargo ships, 3 oil tankers being gunned down within the Strait of Hormuz by Iran there with those very fast, small torpedo boats, not even torpedoes, very small boats fitted with, some missiles there. And that has actually saw the Dow Jones Industrial Average losing some 289 points, the S&P 500 losing some 5 points, and the Nasdaq Composite Index gained marginally with some 1903 points, purely because we're seeing this shift to those type of markets that will not be affected heavily, at least by these looming fuel shocks, energy price shocks. In Europe, again, when we cross over to across the pond, in Europe, it's a very somber mood again with 42.2. Losses in the FTSE 100, the DAX in Germany losing some 21.74 points, and the CAC 40 losing some 32 points, but still above that 7,000 mark, 8,000 mark. Remember, Europe is very sensitive to these, disruptions that are happening within the Strait of Hormuz, and we've seen now, the shifts also moving to shortages of helium in the markets. So now that's what the European markets are somewhat dealing with. And then across the pond to Asia now, the Nikkei has lost some 572 points. The Hang Seng has lost 182 points. The Shanghai Composite Index has lost 4.33 points. Now, that is due to the sensitivity that we know around the Asian countries and their energy sources largely being those that are being fired upon, right, that are being bombarded on that Strait of Hormuz on transit. So now that means we are pricing back those inflation fears into the markets. And even though we are seeing, the International Energy Organization stating that they are going to release their reserves, but it's also an issue of supply chains, how we're going to move that around. Coming into South Africa, the South African Stock Exchange Index has lost 189 points in today's trade, sitting on that 117,000 mark, largely due to those shifts that we are seeing in the global energy front, largely because South Africa is a net importer, and also we are just now starting to watch what the South African Reserve Bank will be, what their monetary policy position is going to be, and how that is going to affect businesses overall. And then in terms of the Eswatini Stock Exchange, again, we're still not seeing any changes. In terms of commodities, Brent crude earlier in the day did break the $100 per barrel mark, but we've seen it since receding, come back down to the 96 mark at midday trade. Gold remains at above the 5,000 mark, but we are just still watching markets as we are moving, tossing between the safe haven gold and the potential of large interest-bearing assets as the war rages on. In terms of the currencies, the Lilangeni has strengthened against the dollar and also against the Japanese yen, against the euro, but weakening against the yen. We are back on that 19 mark against the dollar. We are back on that 19.52 against the US dollar, 19.12 against the euro. Thank you, Natsili.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sibia. That was our in-house economist, Anele Sibia, sharing insights on markets today. Otherwise, we've come to the end of Market View ERS Text Talk. From myself and the crew, thank you for staying with us. Until next time, take care.